Hi, good day, everyone. It's Miss Bowen again, and we're here live for another session. I'm admitting these students to the waiting room. I'm delighted to have everyone once more today. Hi, good day, everyone. Miss Bowen again, and we're here live. Hi, everyone. Hi, good day, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm waiting on some other students to join. I'm waiting on the other participants to join before we can start. A pleasant good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. Today is a very informative session. We'll be looking at the 2020 past paper. We'll be finishing up on the 2019 past paper for those students who had started last week. So we would have done 13 questions from the 2019 past paper, and we're going to look at the other 27 questions to make it to 40 questions. And then quickly, we're going to jump into the 2020 mental ability paper. This is the actual paper, and we'll be going through everything from scratch, similar to what we did last week. I'm hoping that we can do it within the time frame. I hope not to go much over this week. It's always such a thing for me to impart knowledge onto the students. So it's always a situation where I'm never wanting to leave the class. However, at some point in time, we have to call this meeting a conclusion. Hi, everyone again. I'm Miss Bowen. For those who do not know me, for those who are just joining in, I'm still admitting students. I am not going to start the paper as yet. I'm going to give some students some other time since we're starting a tad bit early according to my time. So I'm allowing some other students to join, some other parents, and teachers alike. Let me come closer to everyone here, and we're going to jump into the paper. As I said, I hope you have been using up the resources, guys. I hope that you have been trying to put your best foot forward in this very difficult time, and I hope that you continue to press forward. It's never a solution to pause or go backwards. It's always about moving forward, trying to get the best out of what you're deserving. So I hope some of our top participants are here today and ready to get active on our task that we're going to be completing. Yes, I'm just admitting some other students to or some other participants to the meeting. As I said, I'm not going to quite start as yet. I want to get everybody in first, and then we can.
Excuse me, miss, are you going to need a book?
We can really go into the paper. Yes. So as I said, it's a pleasure to have everyone here today with me. It's my initiative to impart to everyone that's here. I think everybody at school is having some form of challenge with just coping with the distance learning, blended learning. Some of you have started back school since January.
Yes, miss.
And are
Definitely
eager to get into class. But what is class now? It's not what it used to be then. So it's very imperative of us to try to keep a close connection and try to share with others what you know, and then try to collaborate in some form. All of those are 21st century skills where you can actually, sorry about that, just share. It's not good. I think knowledge is done no justice if it's not shared with others, right? I have all the resources and it would not benefit me at all to keep my resources and just to know that I'm the one who is proceeding, yes, or pushing forward, and then everyone is left behind because somehow I want to be at the top. I think it's more delightful if you're at the top and everybody else is there with you, and you can somehow share to say that, you know, this is where we're coming from. These were our challenges, and we have overcome them, and we're
Good
at this
afternoon,
point in
Miss.
time now. So it's always good to share the information. So all the websites I gave you last week, I'm dropping them back into the chat now. And I want you to share it with your colleagues, share it with persons who did not join the class. Again, we're going to continue another session for next week. And next week is a special week, specifically because I'm trying to do a workshop with some other teachers, specifically about some virtual manipulatives that we're doing next week. Saturday would be a webinar I'd want for everyone to join as well. It's always informative. And we're still going to do our Friday session like today. For after the webinar, what I'm trying to do, or for the following week, I'm trying to do a little bit of this week, but definitely for the following week, which is the first week in February, please put this down on your calendar. We're doing a workshop. We're doing a 3 to 5 hours, depending on how long it takes. I think it's about 5 hours marathon where we do PEP multiple choice questions, mental ability questions from a series of past papers, and just questions overall, just to get you familiarized and, you know, to get your foot wet before we get into the examination. With that said, I think we have admitted enough people for now, and I think all the persons who were here earlier deserve to get that early bird award thing, where we're just really going into the information and not necessarily waiting on everybody to join, but knowing that we're here early, and that's what it's about. We want to learn the information, and we want to get through as much as we can get through in this 2-hour period. I have some goodies for everyone today. Well, not everyone. I wish I could have it for everyone, but for some students. And these are Pep Ability Test booklets. Yes. So I'm looking forward to see some top participants, and I'll be giving away 5 or so booklets, depending on how many top performers we have. So I want everyone to make an effort to copy these copies. Yes. So let's get into it. And I'm bringing up the information onto the screen now. I had said earlier we're going to start with the 2019 past paper. I think we can definitely do that. And then hopefully by everyone joins in at a midpoint, we will be on the 2020 past paper. So let me open up the document. I have the 2020 past paper already open. I haven't opened the 2019 past paper until just now. So it's going to be up on the screen shortly. Give me a second, please. So I'll be sharing my screen shortly with the 2019 past paper. Until just now. All right. All right, so that's the 2019 past paper up now. And this is the actual past paper. We're only going through actual. I would have created my own material, which is a mimic. I'm gonna ask that everyone minimize the level of action in your video, or else we'll have to probably disable all of these videos.
Miss, are we going to need a notebook?
Remember, it's still a class setting, guys, and we want to keep it as such. All right, if you're seeing the 2019 past paper on the screen there,
Miss, somebody's in the
give me a
waiting
second,
room.
please. All right, so I'm resharing the information. I'm just altering some of the meeting settings. All right. So I'm now sharing the 2019 past paper on the screen. And as I said, we would have stopped at number 13. We're going to recap number 13 and then move on to number 14. Well, we would have stopped at number 14. I'm seeing this question at number 14, and I'm pretty sure that we did that question last week. Somehow I didn't think we did part number 12. I'm gonna go to do number 12. I don't think we did number 12 last week. All right, given that we didn't do number 12 last week, we're going to do number 12 now. And then let me start to zoom in so the questions are much clearer. Yes, I'm pretty sure the questions are clear now. All right, let's go to the questions. It says the picture below shows the steps involved in baking a cake. Use them to answer item 12. I hope everybody is seeing the picture there on the screen, or the pictures. All right. I'm not seeing any answers in the chat. Nobody sending their answers in the chat today. You can go ahead and say, oh, somebody's there sending their answers. I guess everybody was waiting out to, I was preempting the answers. All right, we see people sending there in the chat. Let me look at these answers. So let's take a closer look. I'm going to zoom in on the image at number 1. What
And then
images
five.
is happening there at number 1?
And then 4.
Apparently, we won't zoom in anymore. Number 1, that's the person baking. Yes, I'm going to bring the answers down shortly. We're looking at the questions. We should be able to figure out the questions even before looking at the answer. Does anybody agree?
Yes.
Yes, we should be able to figure out the answers even without seeing the multiple choice answers there. All right. So number 1 is somebody baking, and number 2 is the prepared mixture being poured into what is looking like the baking thing. The third option, the third picture looks like the ingredients. The fourth picture look like somebody is cutting the cake, and the fifth
Miss
picture
A.
looks
Miss
like
A.
somebody's baking in the oven. So let's look at the solutions there. Which of the following options give a logical sequence? And we know from last week, or even before that, logical means something that makes sense. It's
Miss, the answer is A.
the order is supposed to flow and make sense. So the order, which means the sequence, is supposed to be logical, meaning that it's supposed to make sense, right? So which of the following options give a logical sequence to the steps involved in baking a cake? Let's look at our option. So what's the first step involved with baking a cake? First we look at the ingredients. So we definitely have to start with 3. So we're ruling out C and D. We're going to look back at C and D afterwards, but for now we can rule them out to say that, all right, whatever you're doing, it starts with the ingredients. All right. After we get the ingredients, what do we do?
Mix them together.
Mixing the ingredients, that's 1.
Let's mix them up together.
And then afterwards, we're pouring the ingredients into that baking tin.
Container.
Put it in the oven.
Baking the cake or whatever pastry we're baking. Well, it looks like a cake, yes. And then afterwards, we're cutting that cake. So it looks like 3, 1, 2, 5, 4. So that's A. Everybody's at A. Very good. I'm seeing some answers. I'm seeing a lot of A's. That's very good. All right, let's move on to the next question. We would have done number 13 last week and 14. We only did not do 12. I'm not sure how 12 would have been included. Let's look. And we did look at number 15. Something happened. 16 too. All right, I think we're at number 17. That's where we are.
Can I answer number 17, please?
Miss, what
Please remember to join our weekly classes for next week. As I said, we're having a double session next week. Friday and Saturday, we're doing our workshop with some other teachers who, want to impart wisdom as well. So that's the webinar on Saturday. I'll give you more details on that in the upcoming week.
So, Miss,
following Saturday is another positive week to look forward to, simply because we're going to be doing our PEP workshop. This is our marathon for 5 hours. And then we'll be looking at various questions from the different question banks and look at some of the questions that can come on the exam. All right, let's get back to the questions because I'm seeing the answers already.
excuse me, Miss. So the code to come on the class would be the
Let's
same.
read the question. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day because it keeps the brain fresh and boosts blood sugar levels. So it keeps the brain, I'm not sure if it is relaxed.
Sharp. The answer is
A lot of people are sharing one answer. Moment, that's the answer. So is it relax? Breakfast is the most important meal of the day because it keeps the brain relaxed. I don't think it keeps the brain relaxed because relax would not be boosting
Miss, it keeps the brain
blood
sharp.
and sugar level. So let's look at another option. Be clear. Is it clear?
No, Miss.
No, it's sharp.
I think it's clear.
Miss Sharp.
Miss.
I don't think it's clear. What about sharp?
Yes,
Miss. Yes,
E.
Yes,
I'm
Miss.
sure some of you have heard before that your brain is sharp. The answer. Let's look at D. We're not skipping over sharp. We're just thinking that, all right, then it's most appropriate. But let's look at D. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day because it keeps the brain rested and boost. That's an alliteration there. Boost
Blood sugar levels.
Another B. Well, brain boost blood. And boost blood sugar levels. Breakfast is an important meal of the day because it keeps the brain sharp and boosts blood sugar levels. Yeah, sharp is the answer. For all of the students who typed sharp or C, that's the correct answer. Number 18, normally was given a dash of bamboo earrings for her birthday.
Pear.
All of these are pear.
Pear.
By spelling.
Pear.
P-A-I-R.
P-A-I-R-B.
Normally was given a P-E-E-R. What does that pair mean? P-E-A-R. Let me see if I can see something in the
Like
chat.
if you want someone born on
Tells
the
me
same
what the meaning of P-E-E-R
Miss,
is.
it looks
I'm looking
You're
up
up
the answer.
to look.
Type the answer in the chat. Normally was given a P-E-E-R of bamboo earrings for her birthday. Why that could not be the answer? P-E-E-R. What does P-E-E-R means?
Look. It's to look.
There's nobody responding. All right, let's look at
It's the pear that you
P-E-E-R.
eat.
Now, P-E-R means your... somebody's there. Tajera. Pair means people like your classmate. Very good, Tajera. Pair means people like your classmate. So you can't have a pair as in another person of bamboo earrings. No. What about P-A-I-R, a pair of bamboo earrings? What does that pair mean? Meaning there's two things. So that's pair. What about P-E-A-R? That's the pair that we eat. And P-A-R-E. Can anybody tell me what P-A-R-E is?
Miss, like the pear, like when you're peeling off a skin off something.
Miss Trim.
Miss, is the pear something by cutting away? Yes.
Miss Trim. Like a trim or cut,
Cutting the
Miss.
outside.
Trim or cut, Miss.
Something I could cut.
Anybody?
Okay.
P-A-R-E. What does P-A-R-E mean?
Miss Cut. Miss Cut.
Somebody says they didn't know it was an actual word. No, they didn't say that. I'm saying that.
Someone trim you.
All right, the meaning for pair is when you trim something down. So when you pare off something and cut off the top of it, right? So that's the pair. So that would not be the answer. So the answer is P-A-I-R, yes. And a lot of persons were saying B as the answer. Yes, Kashif, pair is to trim or cut. Rahim as well. All right, so normally was given a PAIR of bamboo earrings for her birthday. Let's move on to number 19. For those who would have, and we looked at number 19 last year, the questions were really jumbled. I know what happened because we looked at that paper was compiled separately. This is the actual paper. This is a scanned copy of the actual paper. That's why it looks this way. So we're moving through paper 2019 paper a bit faster than we would have expected. What that question? I'm not seeing that question clearly. I'm gonna open the other document with it. All right. Let's look at number 24. Let me give our take. We're somewhere there at number 24. My 2020 paper is more clear. I'm not sure why, but that's the one that we're really looking into. Nonetheless, this paper is also important. Also, the other practices that you would have been doing on the SAWAL and study other websites, as well as other resources, would have also been appropriate. All right, so it says Andrew represented the shapes below on a chart. And we can see the chart there. There are 4 charts. Let's look at chart I and chart II. It's Roman numeral, so 1 and 2. And let me see how we're going to figure this out. On one thing I want everyone to note, and we look at it in more detail with the 2019 paper, since that paper is more organized. The questions are not coming in a different form, similar to how you would have after a while be accustomed to the GSAT past paper and know what types of questions are coming, or the CXC paper. Similarly, I'm already accustomed to how the PEP paper looks and how the questions will be coming. I have already created mimics from these booklets, which is using the booklet to help you to create other questions. So I know how the questions are coming. And if you're very observant, you'll see that the question on the 2019 past paper will also be similar to what is here on the 2019 past paper. These charts are going to be reoccurring. So if you familiarize yourself with knowing how to solve these charts, you should not have a problem. All right. All right, let's look at the chart. And basically it's saying that there's two circles. So we're looking for the chart that represents 2 circles. And it says that there's 3 triangles. So we're looking for the chart that represents 3 triangles. Likewise, for the squares, it's 5 squares. So we're looking for a chart with 2 circles, a bar that represents 2 circles. Let's go back up, and then the bar should also represent 3 triangles. 3 triangles, let me see my 3 triangles here. And even though there's no 3 on the graph, halfway between 2 and 4, that's 3. So that can be represented as 3. And then we're looking for the chart with 5 squares. 5 squares. And even though similarly to not having a 3, this chart does not have a 5 because it's counting by even numbers are counting out by 2. So midway between 4 and 6 is 5. So I think we have IV as the answer. Very good. Very good, Michaela. And I won't be able to call all of the students with the correct answers, but I'm seeing a lot of correct answers coming in so far.
Answer is chart 3.
I'm looking out for the students who are always participating, and for every question they have an answer, even if that answer is not correct. All right, let's move on to number 25. It says a survey was done and 40 grade 6 students were asked about their favorite sport. The following information was gathered. No more than 10 students chose volleyball. More students chose football as their favorite sports than the number of students who chose volleyball. More students chose track and field as their favorite sport than football and volleyball together. So we're looking for the chart that shows this information. Once more, it says, a survey was done on 40 grade 6 students. So that's the first piece of information that we're given. And they were asked about their favorite sports. So these charts are about favorite sports. It says the following information was gathered. That's going to give us more information about the chart at hand. And it says no more than 10 students chose volleyball. So we have to make sure that the students who chose volleyball is, and now we're going to get some thinking coming into place, right? So if it says 40 students, then if you divide 10 into 40, that goes 4 times. So we know that exactly a quarter of the students chose volleyball, right? So we're looking for the diagram that shows that a quarter of the students chose volleyball, exactly a quarter. All right, IV there looks a little bit over a quarter. Number 3 there looks less than a quarter, looks more like 1/8. And the volleyball here is a half, and that would have been 20 students. So that could not be the answer for number 1. And for number 2, it kind of does look like a quarter, but it looks a little less than a quarter. All right, let's go back to the other information. It says more students chose football as their favorite sport than the number of students who chose volleyball. So we should have more students choosing football than volleyball. Let's go back to our charts. Football for number 1 is not more than volleyball. Again, I could not be the answer, or number 1 could not be the answer. Then football is more than volleyball for 2. And then I'm not looking in the chat, guys. I'm still just looking at the chart and trying to make the explanation here. I'm not quite at the answer as yet. For football here in number 3, that is more than volleyball. For IV, the football is smaller than volleyball. So we'll rule out 1 and IV, which is 4. We're ruling out number 1 and 4, the chart number 1 and 4. Let's look at the last information that we're given is more students chose track and field as their favorite sport than football and volleyball together. So when we're adding football and volleyball, the amount of students who chose track and field is going to be more than those sports in total, the amount of students who chose those sports in total. So for track and field in number 3, that's more than the volleyball and football together. For number 2, we're seeing where football is actually larger than track and field. So I don't think number 2 is the answer altogether. All right, so let's look one more time at our information. So it says no more than 10 students chose volleyball. It says a small amount of students chose volleyball. Well, it didn't say 10 exactly. It says no more than 10. So we should know that it's less than a quarter, but not actually a quarter. And that's key information to pay attention to. It says more students chose football as their favorite sport than the number of students who chose volleyball. So we should have football being more than volleyball. Check for number 3. That's there for number 3. And it says that For the final information, more students chose track and field as their favorite sport than football and volleyball together. So I think we're there at number 3. Now I'm looking in the chat. Let me see if everybody's there at chart 3. Oh, now everybody's at chart 3. Let me see what the answers were before. Oh, there was a lot of chart 3 before. It's a lot of persons has been. That means we're going to get a lot of hundreds. A lot of hundreds in the mental ability examination. All right, very good, everyone, very good. Somebody asked in the chat, which grade is supposed to be here? Every grade is supposed to be here. These mental ability questions, most students try to start at grade 6. However, it's always wise to start the child as early as possible. Once the child is able to understand and comprehend, understand what we're doing, not read the answers, just the reasoning out of the questions. So if the child is not able to get the answers, then that's fine. If the child is able to reason out the answers, and just the exposure is good as well. All right, let's get back to the questions. So we're looking at number 26. And we already did number 26 from last week. We're moving on to number 27. All right, it says, David is twice as old as Rachel. Usually when you're having questions with multiple parts that's giving you multiple information, please read one part of the information. Try to process that information before you start reading the next part of the information. Only when you have understood the questions for students that I would teach and students who would have had exposure to problem solving strategies and steps would know that the first thing that you're doing is understanding the problem. So in order for you to understand the problem, you have to take time to process the information. So the first piece of information that we're given is that David is twice as old as Rachel. So for instance, if Rachel is 5, David is 10. He's twice as old as Rachel. That's the first piece of information. Let me process it. I'm processing. All right. So it says that, moving on to the next piece of information that we're given, Peter is 5 years older than David. Peter is 5 years older than David. And even though it says and I could continue to read, I'm still processing that bit of information, that Peter is 5 years older than David. So David is twice as old as Rachel. So there's a person called Rachel and she's at a certain age we can call X. And David is twice X, so he is 2X. If that, we can use equations to solve the problem. We can say that Peter is 5 years older than David. Peter is 5 years older than David. And Kim is 3 years younger than Rachel. Let me look back at that last piece of information. Kim is 3 years younger than Rachel. So from what I'm reading, I can clearly say that Kim is the youngest person because she's younger than Rachel, and David is twice as old as Rachel. But Peter is older than David. All right, I think I figured it out. Which represents the order of the children's age from youngest to oldest. All right. So I'm going over the information in total now. It says that David is twice as old as Rachel. Peter is 5 years older than David, and Kim is 3 years younger than Rachel. So I could clearly say that Kim is the youngest person, then followed Following Kim is Rachel, and then after Rachel, it's David.
Miss, you could put
The
numbers.
oldest person is Peter. Not seeing that answer as yet. Let me scroll down. Kim, Rachel, David, Peter. So that's D. All the other options are incorrect. So the answer is D. Let's move on to the next question. Number 28. A box of light bulbs fell. Some are broken. Which of the following could not be the number of unbroken light bulbs? I think this is pretty obvious. We might be struggling. Let's look at the number of light bulbs. Let's look at the number of light bulbs that fell. A box of 12 light bulbs fell. So it says that there's 12 light bulbs in the box that fell. And out of those light bulbs, some are broken. Which of the following could not be the number of unbroken light bulbs? Now, it could be 2 because it's still less than the amount of light bulbs in the box. Likewise, it could be 7 or 10. It could not be 14 because that's 2 more light bulbs than what we have in the box of light bulbs. So the correct answer is D. I'm not sure. And if I'm seeing anything other than D in the chat, we're going to have a problem. We're definitely going to have a problem. Let me see who this C is. Okay, I'm not saying anything. But for majority of the students, I think everybody had D. Everybody had D. Let's move on to number 29. Pardon the slantness of the question, or if that's all right. It says, the numbers 1 through 10 are placed in a bag. Paul picks a number from the bag, then performs the operation stated under column A and B on the number. Let me read over that. The number 1 through 10 are placed in a bag. Paul picks a number from the bag, then performs the operation stated under column A and B on the number. Yes. Let's look at column A and B. So it says that the number multiplied by itself and then add 1. So the number is multiplied by itself and 1 is added. And then column B, double the number and then subtract 1. It says, for the information given, which statement is correct?
A.
The numbers 1 through 10 are placed in a bag. Paul picks a number from the bag, then performs an operation stated under column A and B on the number. So the number was pulled from the bag, and so the first thing that Paul did under column A is that the number was multiplied by itself and added 1. And 1 was added, sorry. And then the number was doubled, and then 1 was subtracted from the number. So which statement from the information that we're given in both columns, which statement is correct? The number in column A is greater than the number in column B.
Yes, Miss, it is A.
Let's try a number.
Miss
So
A,
we're choosing any random number from 1 to 10. Let's pick 4. So if we are supposed to multiply 4 by itself and add 1, then we would have gotten 15. 4 multiplied by 4, sorry, 17. 4 multiplied by 4 is 16 plus 1 is 17. For column B, it says double the number and then subtract 1. So you're doubling 4. Double 4 is still twice 4, which is 4 plus 4. Which is 8. 4 plus 4 is 8, and then subtract 1, it's 7. So if we look at 4 as the number that we took from the bag, if we multiply the number by itself, 4 multiplied by itself, which is squaring a number, yes, that would be 16, and then we add 1 to 16, that's 17. And if we look at doubling the number, which is not necessarily finding the square, it's just adding the number to itself, then we would have gotten 7, and then we subtract 1 from 7. Sorry, 1 from the 8 and give us 7. But we're doubling the number to get 8 and then subtracting 1 to get 7. So we're doubling the number 4 to get 8. 4 plus 4, 8. Subtract 1, 7. Sorry about the history. So let me go back to my answer now. Now I'm pretty sure I'd be able to make a better judgment having read that information and plugged in a number. So it says the number in column B is greater than the number in column A. Doesn't seem that way. The number in column A is greater than the one in column B. It seems that way. The number in column B is greater than the number in column A. Yes, I'm repeating number. Sorry, letter B. The number in column A is equal to the number in column B. We did not get them to be equal because we got 16 in column A and 7 in column B. So, so far the answer we're looking at is A.
Yes,
Let's look at the next answer though to rule out that answer. The answer cannot be determined from the information. Yes, the answer can be determined. I want to point out something, and I think I'm going to be just, it's not usually the answer that says cannot be determined or not enough information or not any of them. To think of it, they wouldn't have really compiled a question and then saying that the answer cannot be determined. The answer must be able to be determined based on the answer. So, sorry, based on the question. So definitely we're not choosing D as an option at all. So we're looking at A as the option. Let's try another number just to make sure though. So we're choosing another random number anywhere from 1 to 10, and we're looking at 3. So we're squaring 3 to get 9. When we multiply 3 by 3, we get 9. And then if we add 1, we get 10. And if we double 3, 3 plus 3 is 6, and then subtract 1, we get 5. So we're still seeing where column A would have been greater than column B. The answer is A. It's okay. It's okay. A is the correct answer, everyone. If we cannot allow ourselves to have control over actual selves, yes, because you're controlling what you do, right? So if we can't control what we do, right, then some of the privilege that we are accustomed to are some of the opportunities that we are given, we're not going to be given those opportunities anymore. It's just natural, right? So I want everybody to maintain an order in the chat. It's okay, and it's always fine if you can curtail yourself and get back in order, right? We're having a problem when it's getting exorbitant and we can't control ourselves. So everyone, please maintain some level of discipline or control. Remember, we're still in a class setting. I don't want to have to, one, try to not allow persons in a waiting room or in the session anymore, and then you'd have to just tune in from outside of the session. I still want you to be here and participating, right? So we want to just do all the necessary things, all right, to continue to have the privilege that we do have. All right, for the past paper here, you can send me a WhatsApp message and I'll share the past paper immediately. I can send it via email. I'm sending both of those information to the chat.
Excuse me, miss, what is your number?
I'm sending my number, and you can add me to WhatsApp or you can call, and I'll be sending my email, and you can use that to reach out to me, and I can send another email. If you're calling in the session now, obviously I'm not going to be answering.
Excuse me, miss. What time does the class end?
All right. And I would assume that all the students here are here to learn, right? And trying to garner as much information as possible so they can take that away from the session and be productive in their examination. Let's move on to number 30. It says the diagram below shows 3 rectangular boxes with striped ribbons wrapped. Sorry, 2 rectangular boxes with striped ribbon wrapped around each. Let's look closely at the diagram. So one of the edges are 6, another edge is 4, and another edge is 8. Give me a second, please. I'm going to be moving from around my computer for a short while. Bear with me.
Just hold on.
Sorry about that. Give me a second, please. I'm just trying to.
Miss B.
Hey, see up there, so
Going back to the questions, I can already see the answers coming there in the chat.
Yes, miss, the answer is B, banana.
Enthusiasm.
Miss B.
Answer C.
Yes. So one of the edges are 6, some of the edges 4, and one is 8. One of the edges are 6, another is 4, and the other is 8. So the box basically, both boxes are of the same size and of the same volume as well.
Answer C.
So let's go into the information. So it says the ribbon is wrapped vertically around the box, and the other ribbon for box B is wrapped. So for box A, the ribbon is wrapped vertically, and for box B, the ribbon is wrapped horizontally. It said, given that both boxes have the same dimension, which statement is correct? The ribbon on box A is longer than the ribbon on box B. I don't think so. The ribbon on box B is longer than the ribbon on box A. I also do not think so. The ribbon on both boxes are equal in length. The answer cannot be determined. The answer can always be determined. Questions are not necessarily created, so the answers cannot be determined.
Miss B.
Usually the answers are able to be determined.
Miss, the answer is B.
So I would conclude that the ribbons on both boxes are equal. It says that both boxes have the same dimension. So whether it's wrapped horizontally or vertically once the ribbon goes around the box and the boxes are of the same dimension, then both ribbons are equal.
Yes, it is very pretty. So the answer is B.
So the answer is C. I
Yes.
hope everybody is on the same page. The answer is C, everyone.
Wait, test. Are you gonna give me a test? Okay.
Javon Campbell, please desist. All right, let's move on to the next question.
Yeah, Miss, that kid is playing game.
So it says the diagram below shows a parallelogram.
This is the answer B or C.
Sorry, please.
Yes, I cannot see. It is very blurry.
The diagram below
Nora?
shows a parallelogram. And that parallelogram, let me slow down.
Oh, yeah?
That parallelogram is PQRS.
Kimura, stop.
It's labeled PQRS. Some students are saying they're not able to see it. Let me see what's going on here. Give me a second.
The answer is QRPS.
The answer is C.
Okay. The answer is C. I cannot see the screen properly. The screen is very blurry.
Miss, the bottom of it is kind of black.
Yes, I'm aware that you can't see the screen properly. I'm rectifying.
Miss, something is on the screen.
He is fixing it. Just wait, please.
I hope you're able to see the screen now. Give me a second.
No, Miss.
She still can't see the screen.
Kimura.
Water.
I'm going to be resuming the screen share shortly. Give me a second, please.
Please close your mic. Mute your mic.
Miss, go back to your old position. The connection was better there.
I'm changing some of the meeting settings, honestly. I'm going to ask that everybody mutes their microphone. If you're not able to mute the microphone, I'm going to have to remove you from the class. Honestly,
Miss, mute them
I'm not
yourself
seeing the
because they're
necessity
not gonna
of
stop you.
having the microphone on when we're not even having a conversation orally, right? So I'm gonna allow everyone to mute their microphone. I'm waiting.
Please mute your mic. We don't want to hear your business at all. Please close your mic.
I'm still waiting. And if I'm not able, as I said, it's not a debatable issue. Once I'm looking through and I'm not seeing where your microphone is muted, I'm going to be removing you from the class simply. That's the honest truth about it, because I can't see the need of these microphones being on, and then there's so much other noise otherwhere. I'm not hearing the noise, but I'm hearing it as a result of the recording. It is distasteful and I don't appreciate it, right? I would have muted everyone upon entry. I'm still changing some of the settings here. And I don't want it to be a situation where I'm only selecting a handful of students to be joining into the class, and the other students will have to watch from some other platform or else do without the information. I'm not sure what to say.
What time class is over in today?
All right, let me go back through the chat here. Turn off all the videos as well now. Yes, all the videos, all the microphones. All the videos, all the microphones. I have to spend some time try to maintain my classroom in order. It has to be, whatever you're doing, there has to be some form of order. For those who still have their videos on and microphone on, it's only a matter of time before I remove you from the session. I'm still seeing someone with their microphone on.
Deaf.
Once I locate that person, I'm going to be removing them. Let me see what's going on right here. Yes, it's one teacher in this classroom. There are other teachers in the classroom, but the person who's moderating is Miss Bowen. And the only reason I'm having this session is to inform students about the mental ability past papers. I'm not providing a platform or an avenue where students can come and gallivant and share and meet new friends and all those nice stuff. Yes. Who's using the iPhone 11? You're in the waiting room now. All right then. Yes. So on whatever means you can still be talking and socializing, not in the class session here that's unrelated to class matters in the waiting room. While you're in this class, the only thing we're doing here in this classroom is we're going through the 2019 and 2020 mental ability past paper. If you're not interested in any of those things, then this is not the place for you. And that is perfectly fine with me. As I said, I'm not hoarding or harboring, gallivanting or things. As I said, the exam, there's not much time to talk, honestly. The examination is 1 month and 2 days away. For those who are serious and want to be preparing for the examination, stay in the class. For those who are not serious, kindly exit the class. Now, I'm moving on. It cannot be. It cannot be. You're given an avenue where you can come and learn information and be exposed to information that you would not have been exposed to otherwise. If you're already exposed and this information is not necessary for you, again, kindly exit. If you are here and you want to have valuable information and want to learn and get prepared for your examination, then continue to stay in the session and let's move on to the next question. I have no room for idleness at this point in time. All right. Let's continue on question 31. I do not expect to go back to the chat and mute or ask for students to remove their video. Right? For the remainder of the class, I would prefer or I would want to just focus on the papers. If you realize we're still 9 questions down from the 2019 past paper and we have not started the 2020 past paper. And it is actually 1 hour out of the class session. All right. Number 31, it says the diagram below shows a parallelogram PQRS. It says, which of the following, I'm resuming the screen share now. The diagram below shows a parallelogram PQRS, and the question asks, which of the following represents the greatest length? All right, let's look at the length. So Q, and I'm not looking at the answers as yet. I like to look at the question before even looking at the answer. So it says that I'm responding to the students in the waiting room, specifically because I'm not admitting anyone else in this classroom. And I'm going to try to minimize the class next week. For students who are only interested, as I said, if you're privy to have these information and to be a part of the class where you can learn and engage and be productive, I think that's the most suitable thing for you to do in the classroom. All right.
Excuse me, it's like some part of the screen is filled with black things and I can't see the answers.
I hope the students are looking at the distance on the parallelogram and trying to figure out what 2 sides represent the greatest length, or what 2 edges represent the greatest length. Sorry. All right. So QP is a short side and RS. If we add QP and RS, that could not be the longest length. What about PQ and RS? Also, that could not be the longest length. RQ, let me look at the actual questions and see how they're calculated.
QR plus PS.
All right, so QR and PQ could not be the longest length. What about QRPS? Is that an answer? QRPS, that looks like the longest answer. QS, there's a QS and there's an SR. That looks pretty long, however, it's not the longest length. I think the answer we're still on is QR and PS. Let's look at PQPS. PQPS, no, not the longest length. PQSR.
QR plus PS.
PQSR, no, I think we disclosed that one. That That's the first one we said that would have been the shortest length. So we're still at QRPS. Let's look at QSSR. QSSR. No, not quite. So the answer there is number C, and that's QRPS. It says, we're moving on to question 32. K estimated the number of people in the stadium to be 32,000. Which one of the following numbers could not be the actual number of people in the stadium? So when we're looking at estimation or rounding off a number to a certain number, so the number that K has rounded off the number of persons in the stadium to is 32,000. Now, if we look at the 100th place, and if you're looking at the 100th place for each number, let's look at the 100th place for A. And the 100th place, the number in the 100th place is below. If the number in the 100th place is below 5, then we actually round down to the nearest 1,000. So when we're rounding off to the nearest 1,000, and that's what's taking place when we're rounding off to 32,000, we're rounding off to the nearest 1,000. We're looking at the digit in the 100th place. The digit in the 100th place, if we're rounding down, has to be 5 less than 5. If the digit in the 100th place is 5, in the 100th place is 5 or more, then we're rounding up. So we're looking at the digits there. So for A, the digit in the 100th place is 0, so we can round down. For B, the digit in the 100th place is 1, so we can also round down to 32,000. The digit in C is less than 5, so we can also round down to 32,000. For D, the digit is in the 100th place is more than 5, so therefore we cannot round down to 32,000. We have to round up to 33,000. So the answer is D. For number 33, Dennis is numbering the pages. Sorry about that. Dennis is numbering the pages of his book. Page 1 is a right-hand page. Page 2 is a left-hand page. And faces page 3, a right-hand page. Which two pages face each other? So we know that the two pages that are right-handed are page 1 and 3, and page 2 is a left-handed page. I'm going to pretend like I'm reading her book here. So I'm going to say that page 1 is on the right-hand side, right hand. So this is 1. Page 2 is on the left, 2, and it faces page 3 here on the right. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 is a right-handed page, and page 12 is a left-handed page. So they're not facing each other. So we're ruling out A. Let's continue. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 22 is our left-hand page and 23 is a right-handed page. So we can clearly say that those two pages are facing each other. However, we're still not stopping there because we know to check our other answers just to make sure that we're ruling out those answers. So we're at 23 here, which is a right-hand page, 24, 25, 26, 27. 27 is a right-hand page, 28 is a left-hand page. That is not two pages that are facing each other, so we're ruling that one out. 28, 29, 30, 31.
Oh my God.
31 is right-handed, 32 is left-handed. So we are ruling out B as the answer to as well. So the answer there is B. I hope everybody is following. I hope everyone was following.
That wrong.
You should be.
Trying to understand.
Ability test not appear and they're not seen. But she said she can't send the past paper, no, so
Mm-hmm.
we have to know if you're doing any answer. So we should have write it down. What's wrong?
So the answer there is B. Somebody's saying, what is the answer? Apparently they didn't see the answer. Let's go back again. Let's count the pages. Quickly, page 1, right-hand page, page 2, left-hand page, page 3, right-hand page. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, incorrect. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. 22, 23. B is the correct answer. Not sure why my screen is blurry. It has to do with the paper itself, how the paper was scanned. I have no control over that. Let's move on to number 34. I'm going to be sharing the, I'm trying to send the paper as a file. I'm going to be sending the past paper as a file to everyone in the chat. I hope you're able to receive the paper.
Miss, Miss, I did this already in our class.
I'm sending the 2019 past paper, as well as I'm going to try to attach the 2020 past paper and send both of them to the chat. I'm only able to attach one paper at a time. So sending the 2019 past paper to the chat.
If I'm not using my classroom email, how I'm going to get it?
I hope everybody is as eager to answer the papers on their the questions on their papers. I said the opposite thing. The questions on their papers on the 23rd of February. It's not here that you want to make the proof, or it's not here that you want to be proving. You want to be proving in the examination come the 23rd of February. So I hope you're here, garnering and getting all the information necessary to do your best on the 23rd of February. The information is being attached to the chat. You will see the document in a short while. I'm also attaching the 2020 past paper too as well, so you can follow on your device. And we're going to jump into the 2020 past paper very soon because we're finishing up on the 2019 past paper. Kelly wants to find out how many Jamaican $1 will cover the surface of her book. What information is necessary for her to make this decision? The number of pages in the book? Surely not. Because if she knows the number of pages in the book, then she won't know the amount of coins that can cover the surface of her book. We're talking about the surface of the book. When we talk about the surface of the book, I'm breaking up. All right, I'm going to hold on a second until hopefully I'll start sounding clearer soon. Yes, I'm aware, Kemoy. I'm aware that there's a glitch in sound. Give me a second, or give it a second. All right, I hope I'm clearer now. Just be patient, it's okay. Kelly finds out how many, Kelly wants to find out how many Jamaican $1 coins will cover the surface of her book. Now, when we speak about covering the surface of a book or any shape for that matter, we are speaking about the area. The area is speaking about the amount of surface covered. So the information that is necessary for her to find the area of the book or the area of the surface of the book, we can think about the number of pages in the book, but we know that that will not help us to find the area. The number of coins that can fit along the edges of the book. If you think about placing the coins on the edge of the book, then you will actually be seeing what the width is, because you can count how many coins go down or how many coins are there vertically, as well as you can count how many coins are there horizontally. So therefore, if you can say clearly that there's 5 coins going down, 5 coins going across, then the amount of coins that can fit on the surface here is 5 times 5, which is 25, which is the area of the surface of the book. So therefore, the number of coins that can fit along the edges of the book is the information that is necessary. The thickness of the book will not help with the surface, right? The thickness of the book will more likely be helping with probably the volume, but you'd still need other information, such as the amount that will fit along the edges of the book, right? The total number of coins that she has will not necessarily determine the amount that can fit on the cover, or the cover, which can fit on the surface of the book, which can cover the surface of the book. So therefore, the answer is B. Simply because if we fit the amount of coins along the edges of the book, we can clearly see that this is the amount of coins that will be at the width, and this is the amount of coins that will be at the edge, and therefore we learn the area of the surface of the book. So the answer is B. All right, my screen is blank. Give me a second, please. Why is my screen blank? I'm not seeing where my screen is blank. Give me a second, please. Is my screen clear now? Give me a second, please. I'm trying to rectify the issue with the screen. I'm gonna try to stop my screen share. All right, I'm gonna start the screen share once more. All right.
Miss, it's not any better.
Give me a second, please. Sorry about that. All right, I hope my screen sharing issue has been rectified. All right. So the answer for number 34 is B. Sorry.
Second.
For number 35, we're given a table. It says the tuck shop sold 3 different types of snacks over a 3-week period. The table below shows the quantity that was sold and the amount of money made. Use the information in the table to answer questions 35 and 36. Excuse me, please. All right. How are people giving me the answer and I'm not even at the question as yet? Unless they're not familiar with some of these questions. But let's see.
Number 35.
It says that in which week did the top shop have the highest sales? Let's look at the week.
Week 3.
Week 1, the amount of potato chips that was sold is 320. The amount for banana chips is 240, 320 and 240, that's 560. And the amount of plantain chips that was sold equals to 300, so that's 860. Let me clarify. 860 is correct. 320 plus 240 plus 300, 860. For week 2, the amount of potato chips sold was 800. The amount of banana chips sold was 280, 800 and 280, that's 1,080. And the amount of plantain chips sold was 300. That's 1,380. Week 2 is leading so far. Let's look at week 3. For week 3, we would have sold 800 potato chips, 880 potato chips, 880 potato chips, 300 banana chips, and 300 plantain chips. And that's 1,480. So it's 880 and 600, that's 1,480. So week 3 had the most sales. Week 3. Which snack had its unit price change in week 3? We're going to be looking at that shortly.
You told them to give me this. Yes. Really? Is everybody doing this? Yes. But nobody.
Was the I hope that everybody was able to get the actual document from the chat. Download the document from the chat. I'm going to be sending the document once more so you can follow on your own screens. I'm aware that what I'm sharing is a little bit blurry, and that is no fault of mine because of how the document was scanned. I'm sending the documents to the chat. Please Look in the chat and you'll be seeing the 2020 and the 2019 ability test papers.
I don't have to.
I'm not sure why the file is not being found. I'm going to be rectifying the issue shortly. I'm going to continue on the question in the meanwhile. Listen to what I'm saying. If the audio is perfect, then you can hear some bits of information.
I don't have to. That's the best thing to do if I'm not hearing it.
It says that the ability test was sent successfully. I'm not sure if the device you're using is not enabling you to download the device. Sorry, download the file. Has anybody downloaded the file? Can reply in the chat or link it in the chat.
Yes, miss. I have the file.
Has anybody
Miss, I have the file.
downloaded the file?
No, miss.
Yes, sometimes it has to do with your device. I hope my screen is not as bad. But I'm looking at it and it's not that blurry. I'm not sure what you're seeing. Because I'm seeing something and it's not that blurry to me. Give me a second, please.
Me too. I had so many files.
Getting a better control over my lighting. I doubt this has anything to do with not being able to see.
Please you could stop screen share for a while and then like screen share back again and see if it will go away.
All right. I hope everyone is able to hear me and I hope everybody is able to see what is on the screen. I'm going to continue with the presentation. I'll send the files afterwards. I'll send my number and my email and you can reach out to me to get the actual document. All right. Not so much to be concerned with at the moment. Let's focus on what we're doing here on the screen. We have 3 more questions left for the 2019 past paper, and then we're going to quickly move into the 2020 past paper, or what can be done of the 2020 past paper before the meeting time has elapsed. So it says the diagram below shows how Paula spends her earnings in 1 month. The diagram below shows how Paula spends her earnings in 1 month. So Based on the diagram, half of the money Paula earns is spent on bills, a quarter is spent on food, and the next quarter of her money is saved, and a portion of it is spent on transportation. 1/8 of it is spent on transportation. So if Paula has 8,000, if Paula spends, or if Paula spent $8,000 on bills for the month, how much money did she save? So if she spent $8,000, so half of the money is $8,000. A quarter of the money is $4,000. Therefore, 1/8 of the money is $2,000. Does everybody follow?
No. No, miss.
Yes, miss.
Sorry about that. So as I was saying, if half of the money is $16,000, then the entire earning, Paula's entire earnings is $16,000. Half of her earnings, which is spent on bills, is $8,000. A quarter of that money, which is spent on food, is $4,000. 1/8 of that money, which is both spent on transportation and which is saved, it is $2,000. Let's move on to the next question. So the answer is C. All right, so it says for number 38, it says a boat has a crew of 5 people. It can carry a total of only 16 people. A boat has a crew of 5 people. It can carry a total of only 16 people. How many trips would it need to make to carry 75 passengers to an island?
Yeah, that's all right.
So let's look at the boat crew. It's 5 persons, and the total number of persons that can go on the boat is 16. So if we can figure out how many times we can transfer 16 persons to get 75 persons, then that would be the answer. Let's figure it out. So when we divide 75 by 16, we would have gotten 4 and a decimal, but that would necessarily mean that we would have to bring an additional amount of persons. So therefore, would need to make 5 trips in total. We definitely need to make 5 trips in total. And just to check that out, we can look at 16 multiplied by 5, which is 80. So if we make 5 trips and we carry 16 persons in total, then we would have brought 80 passengers to the island, but we don't have 80 passengers, but we have close to 80, which is 75 passengers. So therefore, we need to make 5 trips to bring those 75 passengers. I hope everyone is following. You don't need to make any more than 5 trips to carry those 75 passengers. Because one, if there's 75 persons and only 16 persons can come on the boat, then we can divide those 16 persons into a number which is most fitting, which is 80. And when we divide 16 into 80, we get 5. So therefore, we can say that of those 75 passengers, there would have been an additional space for 5 passengers with those 5 trips that were made. Number 39. It says the graph shows the rainfall in centimeters of 3 regions over a 4-month period. Graph showing monthly rainfall. That's the title of the graph. So we're looking at the rainfall there, and it says that. Let me go back up. All right, there's somebody that's having an issue with the question that we did before to say, what about the 5 crew members? All right. So it says it can carry a total of 16 persons. What I did not say is that 16 persons, the 5 people are part of the crew is included in that 16 persons because it says in total, right? Or a total. So if there's 5 persons that are part of the crew, then, and it says that it can carry 16 people in total, those 5 persons are included in the 16 persons, right? So really there's only 11 passengers. So there's 5 crew persons and 11 passengers that can travel to the island. Let me take that information into consideration. So if there's 11, yes, it looks like there's 7 trips instead. Give me a second. I think I also made a mistake with that question. Thank you very much for pointing that out. So if there is 5 crew members, then only 11 passengers can be brought over to the island. So if we multiply 11 by 7, we get 77. So of those 75 passengers, 77 can go over with 7 trips. So therefore the answer is 7 instead of 5. Thank you very much for highlighting that. Let me see the name of the person who highlighted that before. I'm going up too far in the chat. I'm not able to locate the person quite as yet, but very good. That was a very good observation. So it's actually 7. Let me go over that information. So it says the boat has a crew of 5 people. We didn't take that into consideration to say that out of the 16 people that the boat can carry, only 11 persons would have been passenger because it has to carry the 5 crew members at all given times. So for the first trips that's made, 5 crew members and 11 passengers. Another trip that's made, we still have to bring back the 5 crew members and another 11 passengers. So therefore, we'll have to make 7 trips to bring those 75 passengers over because 7 trips will bring 77 passengers. So if we multiply the 11 passengers by 5, we will only be able to carry 55 passengers. So we need to bring 77 passengers in the 7 trips, and then that would include the 75 passengers. All right. So in conclusion, the answer is number 7 instead of 5. Thank you once more for pointing out that information. Very observant. All right. Number 39, it says, the graph shows the rainfall in centimeters of 3 regions over a 4-month period. So region A, that's the dotted line, the smaller dotted lines. Region B is the dash, and region C is the solid line. Which statement is true? More rain fell in June than July. Let's look at June and July. So for June, we had a high amount of rain for region B. We didn't have much rain for region A. For region C for June, it was an okay amount of rain. Actually fell from May. Let's look at July. For region A, we'd have a decline in the rain for July. Somewhat of a decline too for region B and for region C. So we can rule out the first option. Excuse me, please.
Excuse me, miss, did you say that you would rule out the first option?
Sorry about that. So region B had the least amount of rainfall. What can we use to conclude that region B had the least amount of rainfall? It's not quite showing that region B had the least amount of rainfall. Rainfall in region C was the same over the 4-month period. Let's look at region C. Was it the same? No, there was an inclination and then decline. Let's look at the period. From May, we had rainfall, and then June it subsided. Then for June and July, it kind of basically stayed the same, and then for July, it was going up. Well, in July, there August, going up to August, the rain increased. So let's look at what could have been the answer. I'm seeing some answers here in the chat. Let me look at the answers here in the chat. Is it looking like more rainfall in June than July? A and B, but it says which statement is only one statement. There's only one correct statement. Let's examine the statements one more. Let me look at the chart. The graph showing monthly rainfall. It didn't say how much the rainfall was in centimeters. It didn't show what it was measured by. There's no number, but I'm seeing where we can clearly see the up and the down in the line graph. All right, so it says more rain fell in June than July. Let's see that.
Miss, could it be
There's a
A?
high amount of rain in region B for June. There wasn't a high spark for July. There's actually more decline in July. Can we say that more rain fell in June than July? All right. Region B had the least amount of rainfall. Region B, let's look at region B. It does not appear that region B had the least amount of rainfall. Rainfall in region C was the same over the 4-month period. Region C, it does not show that it was the same over the 4-month period. Overall rainfall has been predictable, and it doesn't show where the rainfall has been predictable. If it's predictable, it would have been steady for a period of time and then going up, but it looks fluctuating, so it doesn't seem as though it's predictable. So we're going to go with answer A. Answer A, that more rainfall fell in June than July, simply because there's a peak there for region B, where there looks like a lot of rainfall fell there in June. All right, and the final question for the 2019 ability test paper. Yes, the answer is A. We're concluding that the answer is A for 39. So it says, a bag has a certain number of red, blue, and green marbles. Half of the marbles are red. Sorry. There is the same number of blue marbles as there are green marbles. Which of the following could not be the number of marbles in the bag? All right, to get this answer, firstly, what you have to do is to all right. Firstly, what you have to do for this answer is to look at each of the different numbers, 32, 56, 77, and 100, and divide it first. So when you divide it by getting it into a half, you divide it by 2. So when you divide by 2, 32 divided by 2 is 18. And then if it says that the same number of blue marbles as green marbles, that also means that the number that you get as the answer should also be divided by 2. So when you divide 32 by 2, not 18, 16, 32 divide by 2, that's 16. Let me double check before I'm saying the incorrect thing. Yes, 16, yes. And then when you divide 16 by 2, which it is cutting it into a half, where you get half that's blue and half that is green. So 16 can be divided by 2, so that is not an issue for that number. Let's look at 56. 56 divided by 2 is 28, and when we divide 28 by 2, we'll get 14. So that's not also an issue. So those two numbers are out of the clear. Let's divide 77 by 2. When we divide 77 by 2, we'll get 38 and a half. And if we divide 38 and a half, we won't be getting the equal number of blue marbles and equal number of green marbles. And clearly, if we divide 100 by 2, we get 50, and 50 divided by 2 is 25. So the answer is C there, or 77. For all of the students that who stayed through the 2019 past paper, I applaud their efforts. For those who answered every question, even though they weren't sure of the answers would look like. Very good attempt. And I'm going to be looking through the chat to see who was participating most. We're not to our ability test giveaway as yet, but I still want to see what's going on here in the chat. I would ask you to nominate someone, but I think chaos is going to be happening as a result. So I'll do that on my own. So we're at the end of the 2019 past paper. I'm going to be ending my screen share, and immediately we're jumping into the 2020 past paper. Scrolling all the way to the top, we're at number 40 because that's where I was when I left off. We're going up to the top at number 1. So this is the actual past paper that the students got last year. For February 2020, this is the newest past paper that we have here. And I'm privy to have a copy of this past paper, and you are also privy to be seeing a copy of this past paper. With no further discussions or introductions, let's jump right into the 2020 past paper, the 2020 ability test past paper. Let me zoom in there on the screen. And let me also, sorry. Oh boy. Let me also set my computer here. All right. Lots of shuffling and shuffling. I think I just made up a word there. But nonetheless, let's jump into the 2020 past paper. The general instructions are that there are 40 questions on this test. Each has only one correct answer. Read each item carefully, then shade the corresponding letters of, the answer you have chosen. Ruth, you don't have to ask them to stop. For all the persons who are giving the answers and doing it at repeated options and doing it over and over, what we say spamming the chat, I'm not paying attention to what you're doing. Even if it is the correct answer, I'm not looking at it simply because you're doing too much. That's not necessary at all. If you're sharing your answer, all you need to do is just put one letter. The number on the letter, I know what number we're on, but if you want to share the number or the letter and the actual answer, then that's fine. If you're doing it repeatedly, I'm ignoring it. And I think everyone should be doing that as well. All right, so let's jump into the question. It says, for items 1 and 2, select the word which best completes each sentence. And what I was saying earlier is that there's a specific pattern to how these past papers are coming. Similarly, this is the same way your 2021 paper will be coming, where it will start out with some analogy questions, where for the first 2 questions, you'll be asking which word best completes the sentence, or which one is the odd one out, or something similar to that, right? So you can always be conscious of what the questions will look like in the examination, so you can prepare accordingly. All right. So it says, students are to school as soldiers are to. So the relationship here, this is an analogy question, and the relationship here is the person who, so there's a facility, which is the school, and the persons who go to the school are the students. Likewise, there's a facility, which is the army, and or an association, which is the army, and the persons who are part of that association are soldiers. So therefore the answer is army. Yes, answer D. Soldiers are not to war because it's not the same relationship like students are to school. So with that said, the answer is D. Number 2, socks are to feet as watch is to. Now we have, in order for you to find out what is going on with these analogy questions, it is best to see what the relationship is in the first 2 pairs of words that you're given, and then you're able to determine what is the relationship that is going to come next in the next 2 words. So socks are to feet because your socks is used to cover your feet, similarly to how the watch is used on your wrist. Yes. So watch is yes to time, and it also might be to clock, but you're looking at, well, that watch to eyes, that's very close. That's a tricky one. Yes, you watch with your eyes, but we're talking about the actual watch, which is a wristband, the watch that you wear on your wrist. All right, so the answer for number 2 is A. So the socks are worn on the feet. Similarly, the watch is worn on the wrist.
What is word?
Sorry. Number 3. For item 3, select the correct response. Which does not belong in the group? Which does not belong in the group? The options are Barbados, St. Kitts, England, and St. Lucia. All right, all these other countries, Barbados, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, are islands.
Caribbean.
1, and they're also found in the Caribbean. 2, the odd one out is England, which is not an island.
England.
Which is also not found in the Caribbean. So C is the correct answer. The question says, number 4 says, there's a part of the sentence that's cut off, but I'm supposed to say a bold type. And also this type of question is repeated in both past papers as well. So that's something also to look for. The necessary component questions is going to come on the ability test exam. The analogy question will come on the ability test exam. That's the format of the exam. By doing the past papers repeatedly, you will be able to recognize what is the pattern, what is the structure of the questions. And I'm saying the first 2 questions are going to be questions from analogy. Please write this down for students who are good note takers and do not want to make any mishaps or mistakes in the examination. This information is very valuable. The first 2 questions of the ability test examination, whether 2020 or 2019, will be on analogy questions. The second 2 questions, well, the third question, let's look at the format of the third question. Yes, does not belong. And the 4th and 5th question is going to be a necessary component question. I think we looked at the 2019 past paper is one with the house, which is a necessary component of the house, which is a necessary component of the sandwich. So we're seeing where these questions are repeating. So the instruction says for items 4 and 5, select the option that is a necessary component of the word in bold type. And we have seen this on the 2019 past paper, and we are seeing it now on the 2025 paper. And it will come on the 2021 past paper. So it's good to know these questions and to familiarize yourself with as much of these questions as possible. So let's get into it. What is a necessary component of the car?
Miss.
Let me look in the chat there.
Miss, the engine,
Miss.
Engine.
Engine, Miss. Engine.
Right, no, I unmute myself first again.
Yes.
Yeah, I unmute myself and how to do that.
So
Now
the
we can hear.
car, does it have to have a door?
Engine.
Not necessarily.
Yeah,
But
okay.
it does have a door, but
I'm telling you.
if it doesn't have a door, you could come through the roof. Sorry, please, let me have some water.
Engine.
The car has to have an engine because it wouldn't move
Miss
without
Engine.
So if the doors doesn't work, if you have one door, some cars have
Engine.
2 doors. As well as we have convertible cars that the roof goes off. So it's really the engine. The engine is what moves the car. The car, you need lights, especially when you're traveling at night.
Yes, Miss.
For the seats, I think
Yes,
even the
Miss.
driver needs a seat. But most importantly, the car needs an engine. It would not move without an engine. So the answer
Yes,
is
Miss.
B. All right, what is a necessary component of a book? The book has to have chapters, not necessarily a glossary. I've seen books without a glossary. I've also seen books without pictures. But a book has to have pages, even if it's an online copy. It has pages. The answer for number 5 is pages. The answer for number 4 is engine, for number 5 is pages. We're moving through this test quicker than we had moved through the 2019 past paper. Simply because the first questions, the first 10 questions are usually probably the easiest questions. As it gets down into the paper, it gets more difficult. Excuse me, please. All right. So for items 6 and 7, which pair of words is the odd one out? For items 6 and 7, which pair of words is the odd one out? Doctor to patient, coach to players. So we look at the doctor, and the doctor sees the patient, the coach trains the player, the teacher teaches the student, brother and sister. How is the brother and the sister related? Obviously, that's not allowed. So number 6 is D.
Yes, Miss. Brother.
Number 7, auditorium and choir. Sorry, our auditorium is the choir. Stadium to spectators. So the spectators come to the stadium. Church to congregation. The congregation makes up a part of this church. And the customers come to the supermarket. What about the choir and the auditorium? Is the choir playing in the auditorium? Then the choir is more like for the church, or the choir is for the theater, or but not necessarily for the auditorium. What mostly takes place in the auditorium is
It's like
sports.
a choir is more for like
I
a
think
church.
we're ruling out A as the odd one. Does anybody have A? Yes.
D, Miss.
Sorry about
D.
that. So A is the answer for 7.
Wait, what?
I hope everybody's on the same page. Number 8. The words in the table are alike in some ways. In some way. The words in the table are alike in some way. Use them to answer item 8. So the words in the table are cheerful, jovial, delighted, glad. Which of the following is not like the word in the table? Is lucky the same as to be cheerful, jovial, delighted, and glad?
No.
I mean, if you're lucky, you're probably cheerful at some point in time. It doesn't mean the same. Like if you're lucky and you get some money and you find something.
Lucky.
Lucky is not the same. What about it? Happy? Happy is to be cheerful, to be jovial, or delighted and glad as well. Elated means the same as cheerful, jovial, delighted, and glad. And to be contented, it means you're cheerful, you're delighted when you're contented. And to also be contented, you might be jovial and glad to, to be all of those adding up to you being contented. So I think the answer we're ruling out the answer to be lucky. Yep. Lucky is not the same as all of those other words. So the answer there is A. Moving on. Number 9 says to use the alphabet to help you to find the next pair of letters in the series. So the first pair is A and Z. A is the first letter in the alphabet and Z is the last letter in the alphabet. So they've skipped out B because I'm not seeing B there. Likewise, they've skipped out Y. They've also skipped out X. Does anybody see the pattern that's taking place? I'm waiting for the answers in the chat. Not the answer to the question, but the answer to what is taking place in the pattern. Can anybody tell me what is taking place in the pattern? Can anybody see what is taking place in the pattern?
Yes, Miss.
Yes.
Can anybody reply in the chat to let me know what is taking place? I don't want the answers just as yet. I want you to tell me what is taking place in the pattern. What is taking place? Can one person send a message in the chat to let me know what is taking place in the pattern? How are you finding your answers? How do you know that it's A or B or C or D? How did you find that out? Tell me what you saw as a pattern. Miss, you skipped 2 numbers. Where did you skip 2 numbers? You skipped every 2 letters. I didn't skip every 2 letters for the first part. Where am I skipping the letters from? At the back or the front?
Yeah.
Excuse me. All right, April Davis says, you skip 1 letter to the left and 2 on the right. Yes.
Stop typing.
This is what's taking place. That's the person that says you're skipping 1 letter first. So we skipped out B first and we went to C, and then from the right end you're skipping out 2 letters, which are X and Y, and then you're moving to W. So now that we recognize the pattern, let's see how best we can solve our answers. So it's C, W, skip out 1, skip out B, skip out X and Y to get to Z. So that's CW. So we're gonna also skip out 1 on the left side, skip out D, and then skip out V and U on the right side. So the answer is ET. So we've skipped out F and we're at G, and we're gonna skip out 2, which is S and R, or R and S, and get to Q. So that's GQ. So we're skipping out 1. So we're skipping out H and we're at I, and then we're going to be skipping out 2 from Q, O and P, and we're at N. So the answer is IN. That's the correct answer. IN is the correct answer. For those who would have typed IN in the chat, that is the correct answer. Very good. All right. We are moving on to question 10. And I want you to see, students, I make no idleness or no mistake when I say that there is a specific structure to the examination. You have to look at what is taking place. We have seen a similar question to this question in the 2019 past paper. So we have to see that there's repeated questions. The structure of some of the questions are repeated, and if you are able to see what is taking place, you should not have a problem in the examination. So it says for number 10, identify what comes next in the sequence. So there's a sequence, and then there's the seed, then the plant, and then the blossom. What comes after the blossom? I'm looking in the chat now.
Fruit.
My computer is taking a little while to respond. Fruit, yes. Apple is a fruit, so the apple could come off after the blossom, but surely not every seed that is planted, unless it would have said apple seed. After you get the blossom, you surely don't get the branches, and the leaves don't come after the blossom, so it's fruit. The answer is 10. For number 11, we have something a bit different coming here in this 2020 past paper, and it says you're to examine the words closely Then select the correct response, or correct sequence in terms of size.
Oh, okay. I think I understand this one.
The words in that rounded rectangle are country, village, county, and parish. So it says you're supposed to examine the words closely, then select the correct sequence in terms of their size. So let's look at the sizes. So the country would have been the largest.
What? Country or county?
And after the country, inside of the country, if we know that Jamaica is cut into 3 counties, so there's the country, which is Jamaica, and the 3 counties are Cornwall, Middlesex, and Surrey. So we have the country, and then we have the counties. Now, each of the counties are cut up in different parishes, and these parishes are then cut up into different villages. So the order that we're seeing there is country, county, parish, and village, or village, parish, county, then country. So let's look for those answers in the responses below. So there's 1, 4. So I'm looking for either 1, 3, 1, 3, 4, 2, or I'm looking for 2, 4, 3. All right. So the answer is 2, 4, 1. First, you have the country, then the country is cut up into different counties. For Jamaica, we're cut into 3 counties, and then these counties are cut into parishes, are then cut into villages.
Wait, why there's villages in Jamaica? Oh wait, we live in.
Miss.
Yes, Marsha, it's 20 questions really for today because I realized that we're already over our 15 minutes over a time limit. And like last week, I think we're going to go to 30 minutes over our time limit. I want to do the giveaway. I still want to do the giveaway. I won't let one rotten egg spoil the bun. So not because some of the students were spamming the chat earlier or not necessarily following the instructions and doing otherwise, I'm going to be going back on some of the stuff that I said that I was going to do in the first part of the video. So I'm still going to be carrying out on those promises. I think we're going to finish with this last question.
Okay,
so we can look at the remaining 28 questions next week, Friday. As I said, we're going to do another session next week, Friday. I wanted to do another session closer in the week, specifically because I wanted to provide students with the opportunity to get more familiar with some of the questions. For the session earlier in the week, what I wanted to do was not so much past papers, but was to go through some of the websites that I had discussed earlier with you guys last week. The Study Ada website, I wanted to go through some of the questions on the Study Ada website and the Sawal website. So, but I'll let you guys know if there's going to be an earlier session next week. I know that we're going to have our regular Friday session. And then I'm hoping to do a workshop with some other talented teachers that are going to be imparting knowledge on you as well. For the following week though, for the first week of February, we're doing the marathon on Saturday. We're doing the marathon where I'm trying to do that marathon for 5 hours on Saturday so students can get as much practice as possible for the exam coming in February. All right. So let's look at the ranks there. So it says for question 12, examine the words closely, then select the correct response in terms of their rank. So you have the Prime Minister, the Mayor, the Governor General, and the Member of Parliament. Which rank is higher? Is it the Prime Minister? Is it the Mayor? Is it the Governor General?
Prime Minister.
Is it
Prime
the Member of
Minister.
Parliament?
Prime Minister.
Who is the Governor General? Can anybody tell me who is the Governor General?
Prime Minister.
Aaron says that the Governor General
The
has the
Governor General
highest
is
rank.
Sir
How do you know that the Governor General has the highest rank? Yes, I know that the Governor General is Patrick Allen, not the name of the Governor General. I want to know the duty of the Governor General. What does the Governor General do? How do you know that the Governor General is ranked over the Prime Minister? For some of us, we thought that the Prime Minister is the highest ranking. Can somebody let me, the other students, know why the Prime Minister is not the highest ranking?
Wait, what?
So Karen says that he answers to the Queen of England. Taylor Ray says the Governor General is the substitute for the Queen in Jamaica. I like this profound
That is true, Miss. That is true, Miss.
association.
Yes. Miss, that is
So the Governor
Parliament.
General is the representative for the Queen. We would have still been a colony of England, and when the slave masters left, or when slavery was abolished, when the leaders of England migrated, and then we would have been known as a colony. So he's the head of states. Very good, Karen. Yes. So the Governor General is that person that's here in Jamaica or in any colony, representing the colony of the British colony, representing the Queen. So therefore, the Governor General would have the highest rank. Following the Governor General would have been the Prime Minister. Can anybody let me know what the Member of Parliament does, or what rank does the Member of Parliament fall? Is it the Member of Parliament or the Mayor? Who is the next rank after the Governor General? Is it the Prime Minister? Is it the Member of Parliament? Is it the Mayor?
The Mayor. It's the Mayor.
How is it the mayor? I
Waiting for
didn't
my
get it.
chat to
It's some small.
respond.
Mayor.
I've done.
Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Is the member of Parliament of a higher rank than the Mayor? Can anybody let me know whether the Member of Parliament is at a higher rank, or is it the Mayor?
No.
The Mayor is in charge of the parish. What about the Member of Parliament?
The Member of Parliament is higher than the Mayor.
All right, let's look at the options there in the question. So it says 3 for the Governor General. So we know that the answers with the 3 would have been the closest to the answer because it has the Governor General ranking first. So the next after the Governor General, would it be the Member of Parliament or the Prime Minister? So the Governor General, then the Prime Minister, then the Mayor. No. Or then the Member of Parliament. Who is it? So it's the Governor General, then the Prime Minister, then the Member of Parliament, then the Mayor.
The Mayor, then the
So the answer is A. The Governor General is of the highest rank, then the Prime Minister is the second rank, then the Member of Parliament, and then the Mayor is at the last rank. All right, that's where we end our question for today with 8 minutes to go. Let me look through the chat and see the participants and see how best I can award these booklets. All right, so I'm going to chat, and the names that I'm seeing, give me a second, please. The names that I'm seeing that are reoccurring, give me a second, please. I'm gonna get up from around my computer for a short while. Give me a second. I'm going for the booklet, and then we're going to be doing the issuing of the booklet.
What column is there?
Remy Bozeno. Hello, hello. She could like daisies on my sleeve.
What are you saying? What?
All right. Sorry about that. I have the booklet. I'm here and I'm giving away, well, I won't be giving away all of these booklets surely today.
One miss.
5 booklets away today. I'm going, sorry, not emailing. I'm not doing the hard soft copy. These are hard copies. I have the soft copy and I could email them, but for copywriting issues, I'm not able to email them. These are blurry and barely see the pages are bright. The light is blocking. So these are the booklets that I created. And they have 40 questions similar to the, you can't see anything there. There's so much glare on the screen. There are 40 questions in these booklets similar to these past papers that we would have been doing online. I won't speak the cost for these booklets, but to know to have one of these booklets, the questions are a little bit, some of the questions are a little bit more complex, but it helps you to build that logical reasoning skill to do lesser complex questions.
Okay.
So I'll be looking through the charts and I'm looking at the names that I'm seeing coming up most with positive answers, not spamming. And I'm going to be mailing these booklets to your home so you can have the copy to work out before your examination.
Okay, miss.
Give me a second, please. My system is taking a little while to respond.
Okay, miss. Okay, miss.
Okay, Zenique was wondering how is she going to get the booklet? I'm going to be mailing the booklet to your house. I'm going to be mailing the booklet to your parents once you're recipients of the booklet, I'm going to be getting your address and mailing the booklet to you. So you'll have the booklet in your mail. All right. I think fair enough, I can say that one of the persons who are going to be receiving the booklet my system is not responding. I really wanted to wrap up within the next 2 minutes. Bear with me, please. All right, so one of the booklet goes to, why am I having my screen being freezed? For some reason, I cannot get anything up on my screen. Parissa is one of the recipients of the booklet. I'm seeing where that name keeps repeating. I've seen also responses. You do not need to send your address in the chat. I will only request the address of the persons who are receiving the booklets. And if you're here and actively participating through our other session, don't worry, I have more booklets to give to students who are participating, and I also have more giveaways. I cannot say what they are at the moment, but look forward to great things, especially in our workshop. We're going to be partnering with some other institutions and giving away some more goodies. So this is just the first of our giveaway to say thank you for participating. Wow, I'm having so much issues in the chat. That person's name with the A, April Davis. April Davis is also a recipient of our booklet. So we have one booklet going to Parissa Parks and another booklet going to April Davis. I'm looking for the other recipients. We have 3 more booklets to go. 3 more booklets to go. And I'm looking for the participants who would have received that booklet. Bear with me, please. For some reason, my system does not choose to respond while I'm in the chat. Apparently, you sent too much chats. As soon as my cursor is in the chat, it freezes. Kelicia. The other participant is Kelicia. I'm trying to look for some males to give booklets. The other 2 booklets has to go to males. The three booklets have gone to 3 female persons, Parissa, April, and Kelicia. I will give the remaining 2 booklets to 2 male participants. So Parissa, April, and Kelicia, or Kelisa.
This is pronounced Calicia.
Not sure of the pronunciation. You can go ahead and send me your addresses in the chat. Speak to your parents first. Send a number for yourself or your parents. I will speak to your parents when I call you, and we'll discuss how you will get the booklets. Looking for 2 male participants. There's so much information in the chat. My cursor freezes in the chat. Only one parent's number is necessary unless I'm not getting through to that parent. Let me take down these numbers. I think still why I'm still not able to see the persons in the chat is because people still send. The only chat that I should be seeing other than persons trying to get contact information is from April, Parisa, and Kalika.
Miss,
I
I just
shouldn't be
sent my
getting any
mother's
other chat
number.
from anyone else. And that's why I'm having the challenge going through the chat. This will be rectified on our another meeting. All right, apparently I have to go into the participant screen. All right, let me see the participants here. I can't remember a male sending a message in the chat with an answer. And I'm not seeing the answers here because everybody keeps typing still and allowing the chat to full even though I'm trying to get to the top of the chat to see what the answers would have looked like from persons who would have been participating. All right, Raheem. Raheem is Raheem is the one of the male that will be receiving a booklet. Raheem. And the other male that would be receiving a booklet is so there's one booklet remaining, and that booklet goes to another male.
Oh,
I'm trying to bring up the information in the chat so I can be seeing the males that were participating.
Miss, what about the gamble?
is that Jazeel. The other male that will be receiving a booklet is Jazeel. So I'm repeating, the 5 booklets go to Carissa Parks, April, Kalika, Raheem, and Jazeel.
Miss
Please stay
Jessie is a
tuned. If you did not
female.
receive a booklet this week, it does not
Miss
mean that you
Jessie
did
is a
not participate or you did not give answers. You will.
Miss Jessie is a female.
You will have other opportunities to get a booklet as well as other giveaways that
Miss
we'll have
Jessie.
for upper sessions. Thank you very much for all of the students, parents, and teachers who participated or tuned into our presentation today. Next week, we'll continue on number 13 through number 40 of the 2020 Pep Ability Test Pass paper, as well as we look at some of the other resources that I presented in our first session from the Study Ada website and the Sawal website, as well as other ability test questions from my booklet. I'm actually in the process of creating another booklet similar to the 2020 past paper. So you will also have access to that paper and the questions and solutions. Thank you very much again and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I'll see you next week. More information and more insight. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Miss.
Bye.
She can't hear you.
Miss Jessie is a female.
Jessie is a girl. Amen. Thank you. Miss, I'm a girl. Not a boy.
Miss
I'm a female.
Who was answering questions?
April, before you go, I'm sending a message with my number.
Miss, I am a girl, miss.
Miss, I am a girl, miss.
Parisa and Kalika, Jazeel, and Raheem. Please, I'm sending. As for other students also that needs additional information or there is something that we did today that you did not quite understand, I'm sharing my number again in the chat for everyone to see before they leave. And I'm sharing also my email and website, and please reach out to me in whatever medium that is most preferred.
Miss Jessie is a girl.
I didn't even realize that Jessie was a girl. Somebody is just letting me know that.
Miss, can you send the WhatsApp past paper?
Miss Jessie is a female, miss. And
Yes, miss. You're not miss.
Yo, Miss Jessie is a girl.
I'm rectifying the issue. I'm actually looking for another male to give the booklet. I want to be fair in my giveaways, and I want to give some males an opportunity to practice as well as the females.
Miss Jessie is a girl, miss.
Knows.
All right, so let me look back at the participant list. I think Jordan would have been the other boy that would have, the other male that would have got the booklet. Let me look back in the chat there. I'm sending the information to the website. Somebody was asking about the website. I've already sent my email and I've already sent my number. Please reach out to me with whatever concerns you're having regarding the PEP examination. I'll help to the best of my abilities. I'm sending the website now. I'm also going to be sharing some of the website that we looked at last week. And again, similarly to what I would have said earlier in the session, if you have the information, share it with somebody else who might not have had the opportunity to tune into the class or for some reason was not able to stay for the entire session. Please share the information. So that's the website for the studyadder.com, and I'm sending the website for sawal.com. And these are both mental ability test websites. Please share with others. As how I would have shared with you.
Miss, I did not see the website.
Me neither.
For the persons who would have won booklets, please, oh yes, Jazeel is a female. I'm going to put down a booklet for you for next week. For this week, I really want to give another male participant a booklet instead of a female participant.
I am Javon Campbell. Could I get the booklet, please?
So the participants who were able to collect booklets this week is Raheem Grandison, April Davis. Please send your number to the chat, or there's my information, my email or my phone number. Send me a message so I can get to your parents, so I can start sending the booklet so you can get the booklet to start working on.
Miss, can we leave the meeting now?
Excuse me.
Can we leave the meeting?
All right, that's where we end for today. I'll see you next week. Thank you very much.
Yes, Miss, you're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
You're welcome.